Talk about the Indianapolis Colts, but we're going to talk about the Hoosiers first. Indiana basketball. Mike Woodson seems to have figured something out. He figured it out maybe during the Michigan State game, but then certainly during the Purdue game, and he showed that it stuck. The lesson stuck last night for the last 8 minutes and 50 seconds. We'll talk about what that is. Finally got the right five guys on the floor, and I know you can't only play five guys during a game, especially when Malik Renew is out at the hospital ill. No question. However, I'm not going to get all happy with Mike Woodson because suddenly Mike Woodson has shown that he's got a functional basketball brain and is willing to put the right guys on the floor at the same time. No pats on the back here. It took almost the entire damn season to find five guys willing to play basketball like this and be collaborative. For God's sake. Oh, it's bravo, Mike. God almighty, it took 25 games to figure this crap out that you can't play Renew, Ballo, and Mbako at the same time? What are we doing? All right, enough. Enough yelling. The Colts continue to search for a tight end, right? And there were three today at the podium at the same time talking about their prospects in the NFL and whether they're going to be able to be the answer to the question as to who the tight end of the future is going to be for a whole bunch of teams. But in particular, what we want to know is who's going to be the tight end for the Indianapolis Colts. Please give me Tyler Warren. I'll tell you why coming up in a little bit. We'll talk about senior night for the Indiana women's basketball team. That's coming up tonight. We'll talk about Patrick Beverly, who's being sued by a couple of Pacers fans at whom he winged, the same basketball inexplicably twice. And we'll talk about why he should be sued. I don't believe there are victims in this deal because who is really hurt? I didn't see a nosebleed. I didn't see any bruising. I didn't see anything that was utterly humiliating. We don't know who those people are. Unless you live in their neighborhood, we don't know. So are there victims? I don't think there are victims for a lawsuit to have any standing in a court and generate any kind of wealth for the litigant, for the plaintiff. We know this from Judge Wapner, for God's sake. You've got to have damages and you've got to prove damages. What were the damages? There were none. But what you do have is an absolute stone cold idiot who did just a horrible thing to people who might have been a little bit mouthy during a basketball game. For God's sake, he deserves some kind of consequence. And if that consequence is being sued by people who aren't really victims, I am in with that. This is Inside Indiana Sports Now with Kent Sterling for Thursday, February 27th, 2025, brought to you by the great Sean Hartwick. Sean Hartwick is the 317 agent. You go to IG and you look at the 317 agent. Bam, 24,000 plus followers. You know why? Because they trust Sean Hartwick to show him or to have him show them the home of their dreams, which could be your home. Biggest investment you're ever going to make. You want somebody selling it who knows what he's doing. Sean Hartwick is that guy. Give him a call. 317-373-3724. My friends at MyBookie, those people you're going to have fun at MyBookie. That's what MyBookie's all about. Sports wagering, yeah. They got a casino in there as well. It's just awesome. It's a great website. You're going to have a lot of fun. Parlays aplenty. Put it together. Make more money, more money, more money. Yes. Snoop Dogg, 100% right. So go to MyBookie and use promo code Kent when you sign up. K-E-N-T, only one way to spell it, people. You get a sign-up bonus that's going to make you a winner before you even play. How about that? Make sure and subscribe to see these prize buckets. There are prizes in there. We're going to give one away before the end of this show live, and we're going to do it. Look what's on here now. We got tickets on here, people. 10 finalists from all of the subscribers who commented, happy birthday, shh. One of them is going to win the contents of one of those prize buckets, and somebody is going to choose the prize bucket that one of these people is going to win. How about that? Talk about winning. You win without investing. Like there's no money involved in this. Subscribing costs you nothing here. And we don't inundate you with emails. In fact, you'll never get an email from us. It's wonderful. So subscribe. Hit the like button because that's the polite thing to do. It's Hoosier hospitality, right? Make sure, and if you're going to donate, and why not donate? Well, no big whoop, but why not? You know what? Include a comment or a question that's going to elevate the level of discourse here on the channel. We've got one already from Randy Smith. I heard today that Indiana's guy is Steve Alford. Yeah, whoever you're hearing that from, I'd check your source. I don't think that that's going to be the case. If they wanted to hire Steve Alford, they would have done it in 2000, 2006, 2008, 2017, or 2021. I mean, why the hell wait until 2025? Steve Alford's the same coach he's been. Why has it been pass for Steve Alford, and now all of a sudden they're going to pick Steve Alford? Sounds preposterous, doesn't it? All right, let's talk about IU basketball and Mike Woodson. What Mike Woodson did for the last 8:50 of the game last night was play Oumar Ballo, Goody, Leal, Galloway, and Rice, which is pretty much the same group. And Ballo and Renew kind of swapped every once in a while because of foul trouble for Renew against Purdue over the weekend. That group played pretty well. They played really well together. They played collaborative basketball, especially on the defensive end, and the defense led to offense. That's the way basketball needs to work. Last night for the last 8:50, Indiana down by 5 at that 8:50 mark. All of a sudden, they go on a 25-15 run. Why? Because they're playing really good, sound, fundamental, collaborative defense. You look at Oumar Ballo, all right? That dude had 3 fouls. And so Ballo with 3 fouls, and you've got the big for Penn State, who is having himself a night, right? So what did they do? They're shading to try to deny the big, right? Niederhauser. They're denying him from the front end, Ballo on the backside, Goody or somebody on the front, making it really hard to get the ball to him. And they did it every time. They played really good, sound, fundamental defense that is impossible to play if you've got the wrong combinations guys out there. People think I'm crapping all over Mackenzie Mbako. I'm not. It's not Mackenzie Mbako's fault that he can't play defense. He's got to be taught how to play defense, and nobody ever has done that. This is not about Mackenzie Mbako. What this is about is that when Mbako's on the floor, defensively, Indiana is terrible. Really, really bad, no matter who else they got on the floor. When Mbako's on the floor, they're bad because these coaches are not morons, the opposing coaches. They attack Mbako. And so when they attack Mbako with a variety of slips and pick and rolls and all kinds of things that Mbako reads poorly, you know what? They score buckets. Go figure. Indiana also hit shots last night, which was critical to that 83-78 win. But let's not tire ourselves patting Mike Woodson on the back for finally understanding exactly what has been apparent to us for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, which is you cannot have Ballo, Renew, and Mbako on the floor at the same time. You can't. And what you really need is if you're going to put Miles Rice on the floor, you need really good Miles Rice on the floor. You cannot have the passive and kind of laissez-faire Miles Rice on the floor. And last night, especially over the last 8:50, he got a little bit diligent defensively, hit a couple of shots offensively, had kind of a nice eight-point run there, and things went well for the Hoosiers. This is going to have to continue. That it took 25 games to figure this crap out? Are you kidding me? We're going to pat Mike Woodson on the back and say, well, maybe it's time to rethink his ouster at Indiana, his retirement, whatever. No. There's got to be a consequence for that kind of coaching, and that consequence is being visited upon Mike Woodson at the conclusion of this season. All right, let's talk about Patrick Beverly. Patrick Beverly, formerly of the Milwaukee Bucks, and Beverly now he's playing somewhere else. He's playing overseas. I don't think he wanted to serve the 4-game suspension that he received for firing a basketball into the crowd during the playoff series against the Indiana Pacers at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Fires a ball into the stands. It hits a woman in the head. Then he's like this, hey, as though it somehow magically slipped out of his hands. So this idiot, this guy, throws it back to him. And he fires it back at the guy. These people, these Pacers fans, are suing Patrick Beverly. They're not really victims of anything but their own stupidity. And not the woman. The woman got hit in the head by a stone-cold idiot throwing a basketball at her. The guy who gave the ball back, he got what he deserved. Why would anybody, that's like somebody shoots your wife and you somehow wind up with the gun and he says, hey, could I have that back? And you throw the gun back to him and he shoots you. What'd you think was going to happen? What's the matter with people? Hey, ball, please. Being sued is unpleasant. It's a righteous consequence for a moron. And Patrick Beverly acted like a moron in that situation at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and he deserves all the misery that can be ladled upon him. We will do. The Indianapolis Colts, today was kind of an interesting day if you're a Colts fan, because the Colts have got to settle on a tight end. You can't have a gang of four doing the tight end business and call that a real legitimate football team. You just cannot do it. And so the Colts had a chance to hear from all of the tight ends that they might think about drafting, all the tight ends that are at the combine. They talked to the media today, and I concentrated on 3 of them, and they were all talking simultaneously. So, and I posted the video of all of this earlier today, and if you want to hear from Tyler Warren, kind of know what he's all about, it's there. Harold Fannin, you can hear what he's all about. You can hear from Colston Loveland as well, the Michigan tight end. Very, very productive until he got hurt. He's got a shoulder problem. It was surgically repaired, and they think he's going to be ready for contact come training camp. So let's talk about these guys a little bit. Tyler Warren first. Tyler Warren, in his 5th year at Penn State, was an absolute beast, a behemoth. 104 catches, 1,233 yards. He's going to be 23 in May, and that's kind of interesting because the Colts like to draft young guys in the first round. Or other rounds. Yeah, you get a guy like Nick Cross. Nick Cross was one of the youngest guys in the draft in which he was selected in the 3rd round. Quincy Wilson was really, really young. Anthony Richardson, really, really young. Tyler Warren is not really, really young. He's going to be 23 in May. Let's compare and contrast him to Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland is still 20, and he's going to turn 21 April 9th. So Loveland is 2 years younger than Warren. And that means he's got 2 years more football on the back end of his career than Warren likely does. Warren is a much more polished prospect than Loveland is. Warren is a guy who can block, he can line up at H-back, he can be an X, he can line up in line and block guys, he can go into, he can run routes, any route really, from that tight end slot. And so that's a guy. He's ready. And at 14, you want to draft a ready guy, not a project. Loveland, maybe you would draft in the 2nd round, the 3rd round, but he isn't going to be ready to compete at a really high level for a couple of years. This is a team that's got to compete right to hell now. So give me Tyler Warren with the 14th overall pick. Then you've got Harold Fannin. I like Harold Fannin. Harold Fannin is a really interesting guy. Listening to him talk, you're like, all right, there's a guy. You would think that maybe coming from the MAC, because he was a tight end at Bowling Green, maybe not all that much experience with a whole bunch of media types. Maybe get kind of quiet at the podium. No, this guy was really, really good. And so you wind up with you've got a choice. And there are others at the tight end position. And this is kind of the thing, too. If the Colts see this position, not Warren and the Pips, you know what I mean? Like, Warren is a little bit better than Fannin and Loveland, and then you've got some other guys, but there's a cluster of about 8 guys. Then you're looking at the third-round tight end selection again for the Colts, right? I would like them to get it over with, get it done with, hire the best tight end in this draft, and that is Tyler Warren. And Tyler Warren talks like a Colt. Tyler Warren talks like if his locker was next to Quentin Nelson and Bernard Ryman, those guys' locker right next to each other. You put Warren on the other side of Ryman, and those guys are just going to go to work. There ain't going to be a lot of conversation. There ain't going to be a lot of talk. It's going to be a lot of working. And when the media shows up, those guys will do what they do, and that speak very little. That's kind of what Warren is. He was very economical with his words. He wasn't expansive about the experience of being in the combine. So that's kind of what you got in Tyler Warren, and I think he fits. What the Colts are on the offensive line, he fits that thing. He would have the best hair on the offensive line by far. Like, no question about that. But, and the best hands on the offensive line. But a guy who can block, a guy who can catch, a guy who can be an H-back. And the Colts, I would like to see them use that kind of H-back periodically. I think that that's a good thing to be able to do. And with one draft pick, you can get both, tight end and H. So there you go. C.J. West of Indiana University. C.J. ran both his 40s, 4.95 the first, 4.96 the second, 17.3 as his 10-yard split, 17.4 as his second 10-yard split. C.J. West, I think, is going to be a man in the NFL. He's only 6'1 and an eighth. He weighs 316 pounds. And I've told you, best answer in the history of the combine. What is the trait that you showed in college that best translates to the NFL? Violence. Done. That's all he had to say. CJ, you had me at violence. I talked to Howard Cross today. Howard Cross, the tight end, or not tight end, but a defensive lineman for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish this past year, and a guy who made a lot of plays. He's a good football player. This is not to demean him as a football player, but I saw him in the hallway in the convention center. I was like, hey, Howard, you are going to make, this is no slight to you and your football talent, but you're going to make more money in the media than you are in football. And he looked at me and he said, you know what? You're not the first person who's told me something like that. I said, you're great. It reminded me, his podium reminded me of meeting with Jeff Saturday. Tom Severino, John Quick, and I meeting with Jeff Saturday. And Jeff Saturday wasn't even a starter at that point. And you know what? 30 seconds into that meeting, I was like, that's the guy. Like, we were talking to a bunch of Colts starters in 2000 or 2001 about coming in and replacing Kenny Dilger, who signed as a free agent with the Tampa Bay Bucks. And so we were losing Kenny as our kind of inside the Colts type guy. So we were meeting a bunch of people. Saturday came in, and at the end of the meeting, Saturday left, and they were like, what'd you think? I said, you hire that guy. That's the guy you hire. Like, that's the easiest hire in the history of hires. He just talks to people. He's comfortable in his own skin, and he says stuff. Like, he can tell a story, and that, to me, that was Howard Cross yesterday with the media. He's going to make a lot of money in the media. We'll see what kind of football player he is. I just thought it was, I was happy. I saw him in the hall. And, like, you make eye contact with a guy, and you're like, hey. Because I was thinking, all yesterday, I was thinking, man, that guy is going to be great in the media. And he looked at me like, what's this yo-yo want? So I had to say something. I said, hey, you're going to make a lot of money in the media. All right, let's give away, and I'm sorry again for the interruption. Let's give away the prize. We have the fabulous prize wheel right here. 10 tickets, 10 slots. We're going to spin this. We are going to announce the winner, and then one of you will choose which bucket. And don't do it yet. I got to say go. And when I say go, not this time I say go, but the next time I say that word. 1, 2, or 3. All right, here we go. Sports says, Colts need CB, a safety, and I don't care if it's draft or free agency, but tight end does. You're 100% right. That's absolutely accurate. I was talking to somebody today about safety. It's like you can get a safety in free agency. You can get a competent safety who's not going to screw up your defense, and you're going to be okay in free agency. But nobody allows like a home run hitter tight end loose in free agency. It just doesn't happen. George Kittle is a 49er, right? Kelsey is a Chief. That ain't moving. Jason Witten was a Cowboy. Yeah, great tight ends you don't let go. You can only get them in the draft, so take your shot at 14 on Tyler Warren. Couldn't agree with you more. Here we go. Sports, you're getting smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter. All right, are we ready to spin? We are ready to spin. Off we go. And the wheel stops on that green one. Let's see who is the winner. It's at maybe later 7132. That's the handle, the YouTube handle for the winner of what's in one of these prize buckets. I got a bad feeling for this prize bucket. I got to tell you the truth. I think it's going to wind up being the Zonk. Let's see. Ready? Go. Give me a number, 1, 2, or 3. First person to comment 1, 2, or 3, that will be the bucket. Bucket 2. Greg says bucket 2. Forget a tight end we need, but you're not going to draft a quarterback at 14. And I dispute that. I think Anthony Richardson still has a pretty good chance of being the guy. Let's see what's in bucket number 2, shall we? All righty. There it is. I knew it. Did I not know it? Look at this. And I'll sign it to make it even less worth stuff. I'll take the price tag off, though. There we go. We don't want to be gauche, do we? It is a Carson Wentz kind of jersey, kind of T-shirt, which I will sign. And now I got to get this guy to take it, right? Maybe later 7132 has got to be willing to accept this. He's got to. Maybe later 7132. You've got to send me your address. All right, you've got to DM me your address either on X, Facebook, or IG, and I will send this to you post haste. But that means, now listen, toilet paper. Hey, utilize it as you will. It's a nice sleep shirt. Give it to your wife. This means that all we have left, we have the Leatu Latu signed jersey and a jersey by a really good running back who played a number of years in the NFL, but most notably with the New Orleans Saints. There you go. You'd rather have the orange Home Depot bucket. You know what? These are way too inexpensive, these buckets. Look, I even wrote, so there wouldn't be any confusion, I wrote it backwards. Look, you see this, and the letters, they don't go the right way. I was like, I gotta, so people know this is on the up and up, and a 5's not a 2, and a 6 and a 9 or whatever. It's not the way the numbers work. But anyway, I wanted to make sure everybody knew this was on the up and up. So this Carson Wentz T-shirt jersey thing, autographed by yours truly, will be on its way to at maybe later 7132. Now, maybe later 7132 has got to get me his or her address via DM within 24 hours, or we will draw again. You know what? We'll just keep the tickets on here, and if this is not claimed, we'll spin this bad boy again, and we'll see. He was not the worst. Well, he was not. I don't know who you're talking about. Who wasn't? Carson Wentz wasn't the worst quarterback. We have had worse. That's for sure. However, it didn't go so well. We will talk to you tomorrow. Breakfast with Kent, bright and early. My God, 6:40. 6:40 came early tonight. This morning. I got to tell you, though, I thought it was one of our best all-time shows. What'd you think? Hey, you praise me. But we'll talk to you at 6:40 tomorrow. A beautiful Friday in Central Indiana. The last weekday of the Combine, of course, we'll be down there again because you learn stuff and you see people and you talk to people and you have conversation. It's kind of fun. Congratulations to CJ West for getting across the line in under 5 seconds and that 1.73, right? Or 17.3, 10-second split. No, 1.73. Was awesome. Great dude, CJ West. We will talk to you tomorrow morning. Can't wait.